Hello again. Welcome to day 3 of Transforming the Teaching and Learning Environment virtual conference. I'm Bob Hales. I'm your moderator. Don't forget, we have the Wall Street Journal doing a workshop at noon today, Central Time. Check it out if you have a few minutes at least. We have with us today Ann Hayen. Is that right, Ann?
It's Hayen, but I say I married into the name, so I'm not super concerned how people say
it. Okay. Ed's going to talk about management of practicum students at a distance. And yeah, I'll be interested to see how you can do that successfully. So Ann, let me turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. And my name is Ann Hayen. I am faculty at the Sinclair School of Nursing at the University of Missouri-Columbia. Get it going here. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about managing practicum students at a distance. So I just wanted to give a little bit of overview about the course that I'm speaking about. These are going to be nurse educator students who are working on a terminal degree. They have to have classroom and clinical aspects to the course. They have to evaluate students. And our goal is for them to learn the faculty role so that when they're done with this course, they are able to step into a faculty role where we have a huge shortage. Students take the course for 4 or 5 credits, and how many credits they're taking depends on how many hours they have to do. So for this course, the students are expected to secure their own preceptor. We have students all over the United States, so the expectation is that they do it in an area local to them, and in doing that, they're securing their own preceptor. They're expected to log into the Canvas course, do all the assignments. The course is graded S versus U, and again, the assignments are all graded S versus U also. So where it starts to get fun is trying to make sure that all of your preceptors who you've never met or had any interactions with meet all of the requirements set forth by our university, our accrediting agencies, and our State Board of Nursing. So try to be upfront with the preceptors what their goal is with the student, what their time commitment is. We have them fill out an application, and that application is done via Qualtrics so that all of my information stays kind of in one place. And it's basically like, how do we get a hold of them? Where do they work? Making sure they meet all of those minimum preceptor requirements. So they know that they'll have to do a midterm and a final eval, and then kind of coach the student along as needed. So I just put up here an example of the midterm survey that I use, that I have the preceptor fill out for the student enrolled in this course. And so they basically pick yes or no or not observed, and then they have areas of strength, areas of improvement, and then there's an opportunity for them to say, yes, they want me to contact them to discuss the student. So as these are filled out, I'm reviewing them for just making sure that the student is making progress, and if they're needing any interventions at midterm so that they can be successful in the course overall. This is done via a Qualtrics survey again. I'm a big fan of those because all my information stays in one spot together. I have a lot of people ask about what the final exam or the final evaluation of the student looks like. And they are evaluated on each of the course objectives. So for each course objective, there are questions that are asked, and our goal is that the students are at a 5 at that high level, that they are able to take their knowledge that they've learned thus far in their program and apply it to the education setting. Our goal is that they would be safe to function as an educator with consultation available. So we all know that it's not going to be on their own, but as long as they have somebody there to help support them. So there's, again, 6 parts for that, again, related to the course objectives. And I would say this one it's longer, so it's going to take in the neighborhood of about 20 to 30 minutes for the preceptor to fill out, again, via the Qualtrics survey. And then as those come in, I'm reviewing those so that I can get prepared for the final evaluation of the student by me. So a big part of this, and what I would certainly recommend, is making sure that prior to the course actually starting, that the student has a preceptor and a location secured, so that if they try to not start that process until the class actually starts, they don't really have time to do their required clinical hours and get all of their information done. Getting a clinical contract at our university tends to take a while. So we do start this process midway through the prior semester. They have to show proof of all of their immunizations. For us, the students have to get FERPA permission from the students that they will be teaching, so that the students that are receiving instruction from another student under supervision are aware of that. They journal generally every other week. So journaling is where a good part of the learning will occur, and those are so fun to read. So I have the example over here of what I have them kind of reflect on, and it's fun to watch them grow, because you can really see they're like, I never knew what went into writing an exam or writing looking at what goes into a curriculum. So it provides me a record of their experience, along with the reflection on, what are they learning? How might this impact future teaching? It is rather informal. It's more of a thinking out loud kind of activity for them. Students are asked to do at least one lecture, depending on how long the class that they're looking at is. They might do part of one, or they might do several. It just kind of depends on each preceptor. They're expected to attend meetings with their preceptors, so things like curriculum, student admission, student progression, whatever that university has set up for their faculty, the student enrolled in this course is expected to go with them. And they also have to evaluate students in a clinical setting. So along with the didactic, they're also doing a clinical teaching. So the classroom requirement, I give them options. They can do it, they can record it for me in advance, or they can record it live if they prefer. I prefer the recorded Panopto because it allows for the time stamping of comments, so that I'm able to, the student can listen to what they said and listen to the feedback all kind of at the same time, so that you're not doing it at the end. You're able to go in and at that point in time, put your comments. So at this point in time, if a student needs like a coaching session, a little bit, some more kind of work in how to present a lecture or active classroom kind of activities. And then they are evaluated by their preceptor and by the classroom students. So that is good feedback for them, because the students in the classroom are able to provide some of that kind of real time, how did this go? So, and that's part of the reason for the FERPA, is that we are all looking at that information. The clinical requirements, the expectation is that the student enrolled in the course is able to supervise nursing students through at least one clinical rotation, what we call pre and post conference. And then at the end of the clinical day or days, depending on how it's working out, the students are going to evaluate this, the student also. So they're getting feedback from kind of multiple people at multiple points in time. So with all online education, one of the big challenges is that we're not able to visualize directly. So I am in many ways dependent on the preceptor to be in contact with me if they're having any issues. So I am reaching out at certain points in the semester to the preceptor, just making sure that all is going okay. You do occasionally have a challenging student, and really one of the biggest things is that there's so many pieces of information to keep track of. It's that getting your getting your information organized is really one of the key components to a successful practicum experience at that distance level. So preceptor applications are completed via Qualtrics. So most of my information from my preceptor is coming back into that Qualtrics survey, so that I'm able to find all that information in one place. And then for the student, once the course is open in Canvas, I keep everything that I can in that Canvas course. But I also said that we really have to start this prior to the semester starting, that we need the student to start gathering information, we need the preceptor to start applying. So about midway through the semester, so for example, now for March, I'll start working with the advisors to get the names of students who plan to take the course in June for summer. So prior to Canvas being open, I just use a regular old Excel spreadsheet that's keeping track of names of students, preceptors, that we have approval, all that kind of pieces. So I have a set Excel spreadsheet that I use that has all columns for each of my data points that I have to collect. And then I have my color coding system. What do you do when you have that challenging student? I like to reach out directly to the preceptor. so that that preceptor and I are on the same page. I'm going to meet directly with the student via Zoom usually. And then many times, the student and the preceptor and I will all be on a call together to help facilitate that communication so that we're able to tell the student exactly what they need to do in order to be successful in the course. These are senior level students working on a terminal degree. So I don't tend to have too many problems with them. There have been a handful here and there, but for the most part, they're motivated to do this and do it well, because many times this practicum experience will lead to a job offer for them. So one of the big things is preparation for the course, because a lot of the work happens before the course even begins, which at my institution can be challenging, given when we get our teaching assignments. So there's been times where I'll have done all of the prep work and then it's like, oh, you're actually not teaching the course this summer. And it's like, okay, well, look, I did all this work for somebody else. Course organization is super important. Communication with the preceptor at those set intervals. And then communication with the students. It's just lots and lots of making sure that they know what the expectations are so that they're able to meet them. So I think the practicum experience at a distance is very much doable. It does take working with a lot of people and it takes a lot of coordination. So, you know, my load for the course and my teaching load is not super high because I'm not actually teaching per se, so much as I am organizing and coordinating and communicating. So just kind of making sure that you have all of those things set up prior to your class, and you have somebody that is super organized the first time that you teach it, because the more I go through it, the more I learn. But I think you can take these concepts and apply it to various other disciplines other than nursing. So really anywhere that the student is needing to do a hands-on activity that you are not able to be there for, and you're using those preceptors. Let's see, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. That being said, does anybody have any questions, anything that they would like to discuss further?
Ever have technology fail you and impact the course?
I feel like I should find some wood to knock on, because my answer is not yet. I've had students say that like they're not able to submit something via Canvas on time, but the most that's ever happened is that I set up, and it was my own fault, is that I set up the course in the wrong Canvas area, Canvas course box. So I had to go and redo that, but that wasn't a technology failure, that was a me failure.
Are the students generally in the area of the university, or are they, how scattered, how far away are some of the students?
So I'm located in kind of the middle of Missouri, and like, for example, this semester, I've got people in Iowa, I've got people in Wisconsin, I've got people in Arkansas. They're really, they're spread out all over. So it's, if they're here, and we do have some students that will do their practicum experience at the university where I'm teaching at. So I am able to kind of pop in and watch them, touch base with them in person, which is nice. But otherwise, much of it is dependent on that preceptor.
I can picture students having body cams and you watching them live. Wouldn't that be something?
It would. I'm not sure if they would like that or not, but
Is there anything, is there anything you do differently or would like to do that you can't right now?
something I would do differently would be I would like to be able to see them in the clinical setting with the students, because so much learning occurs in that area, and I'm just haven't figured out a way to do that. So right now, I'm still just using the evaluations from the students and from the preceptor. But that would be something that I would like to be able to give feedback on. So we figured out a way for the lecture classroom using the Panopto, but I haven't figured out clinically how to do that yet. Something else, like trying to look at security, trying to make sure that the preceptor is actually the one filling out the form. Our Qualtrics does allow signatures on the form, so that I am able to teach, or I am able to have some assurance that it is the preceptor filling out that form. Let's see. Liz says she teaches in a health and wellness coaching program, and they have a practicum that's not directly supervised. Students complete detailed self-assessments of skills on forms, several recordings demonstrating skills that experienced mentor coaches evaluate. That's a good idea, Liz. For sure.
It seems to work for us, but it's of course a little bit different than a hands-on nursing experience, because you can get at the skills we're looking at mostly through what is said in a conversation. It's not that same hands-on as you might have in nursing.
But having them write out the wording that they would use in a coaching conversation would be a good way to look back. We use kind of recorded conversations with our traditional undergrad students too. It's a good way for them to learn.
I can see where they could, does Panopto have a mobile app? If they wanted to record something, or I'm sure you could record something and upload it into Panopto. Yeah. I can almost see them, talking about body cam, that's kind of crazy, but they could, record on their phone, something in a clinical setting, assuming all the permissions are taken care of. That's obviously important, but that's something. I mean, as I said, it'd be great to be able to observe them actually in a clinical situation.
Yeah, that's an idea of having them record, like even after we did a post-conference experience, kind of where they're wrapping up the day and trying to connect what they did in the classroom to what they saw in clinical. That's definitely a good idea. Yes, thank you guys for attending, and feel free to reach out with any questions that you might have, or if I can be of any assistance to you.
Ah,
Leah's got her baby.
yeah. I have my dog.
Yeah, if you were saying something, you're on mute, I think.
Oh, baby was just saying hi. Thank you, Anne. That was helpful.
Thank you for
What she
coming.
does is a lot of work. But she's really transformed it in the past few years, because it used to be like just mountains of paperwork and filing cabinets, and no one could keep track of anything. And she's really streamlined it to be successful.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And sorry for my confusion at the
No,
beginning.
it's okay. It's
My
fine.
only, I guess my only excuse is I'm not a morning person.
It's all good. But thank you for allowing me to present, and I'm happy to answer any other questions or reach out if you have any.
Yeah, I guess not, but Ian, yeah, I hope if you're interested, you can join some of the other sessions this week or next.
for sure.
And anyway, I'm glad you did, and I really appreciate you filling in the slot that opened. So thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.